Now we're going to have a whole session of patter songs from Gilbert and Sullivan with Martyn Green. Originally, a patter song was a music hall song about, especially full of topical names, a tune sort of strung on a thread of topical names and allusions, and done usually to a little dance or patter. We know the form in the antics of Danny Kaye, and especially the lyrics of Cole Porter. You remember, you're the top, you're the National Gallery, you're Garbo's salary, you're cellophane. Well, 100 years from now, that's going to take a lot of professors and a great raft of footnotes to make any sense. Gilbert and Sullivan developed this form to include what Martyn Green calls a point song. Now, that is where the leading character, usually Martyn Green, is very anxious to explain to the audience how he got so far in the world. And possibly the most famous of these autobiographical asides is the one that's sung in H.M.S Pinafore by the First Lord of the Admiralty, Sir Joseph Porter, KCB, and ruler of the Queen's Navy.
Now give 3 cheers, we'll lead the way. Hurrah, hurrah, hooray! Hooray, hooray! I am the monarch of the sea, the ruler of the Queen's Navy, whose praise Great Britain loudly chants.
We are his sisters and his cousins and his aunts.
And we are his sisters and his cousins and his aunts. His sisters and his cousins and his aunts. When at anchor here I ride, my bosom swells with pride, and I snap my fingers at the foemen's taunts.
And so do his sisters and his cousins and his aunts.
And so do his sisters and his cousins and his aunts. His sisters and his cousins and his aunts. But when the breezes blow, I generally go below and seek the seclusion that a cabin grants.
So do his sisters and his cousins and his aunts.
And so do his sisters and his cousins and his aunts. And so do his sisters and his cousins and his aunts. His sisters and his cousins will be reckoned to my cousins and his aunts. When I was a lad, I served a term as office boy to an attorney's firm. I cleaned the windows and I swept the floor, and I polished up the handle on the big front door. I polished up that handle so carefully that now I am the ruler of the Queen's Navy. He polished up the handle so carefully that now he is the ruler of the Queen's Navy. As office boy, I made such a mark that they gave me the post of a junior clerk. I served the writs with a smile so bland, and I copied all the letters in a big round hand. He copied all the letters in a big round hand. I copied all the letters in a hand so free that now I am the ruler of the Queen's Navy. He copied all the letters in a hand so free that now he is the ruler of the Queen's Navy. In serving writs I made such a name that an articled clerk I soon became. I wore clean collars and a brand new suit for the pass examination at the Institute. For the pass examination at the Institute. That pass examination did so well for me that now I am the ruler of the Queen's Navy. That pass examination did so well for me that now he is the ruler of the Queen's Navy. Of legal knowledge I acquired such a grip that they took me into the partnership. And that junior partnership, I ween, was the only ship I ever had seen. Was the only ship we ever had seen. But that kind of ship so suited me that now I am the ruler of the Queen's Navy. But that kind of ship so suited me that now he is the ruler of the Queen's Navy. I grew so rich that I was sent by a pocket borough into Parliament. I always voted at my party's call. I never thought of thinking for myself at all. He never thought of thinking for himself at all. I thought so little. They rewarded me by making me the ruler of the Queen's Navy. He thought so little, they rewarded me by making him the ruler of the Queen's Navy. Now, landsmen all, whoever you may be, if you want to rise to the top of the tree, if your soul isn't fettered to an office stool, be careful to be guided by this golden rule.
Be careful to be guided by this golden rule.
Stick close to your desks and never go to sea, and you all may be rulers of the Queen's Navy.
Stick close to your desks and never go to sea, and you all may be rulers of the Queen's Navy.
Hello, Alistair.
Martyn.
Why, the first time we met on Omnibus was in my dressing room, if I remember rightly.
It was, and you were telling me about the secret of Gilbert and Sullivan Company, that everybody worked together and there was no question of personal glory. Remember that?
Did I say that?
You did.
Well, I must have been an understudy at the time.
2.5 years ago.
Well, I may have said it, but I can assure you Gilbert didn't.
No?
No, he certainly did not. As a matter of fact, he warned young comedians that if they wanted to reach the top, they should stir it and stump it and blow their own trumpet.
He did? Where did he say that?
Ruddigore, Robin Oakaple's first song. Don't you know it?
I don't think I've ever seen it. No, I haven't.
Well, if you don't mind catching it in between costumes, so to sing. My boy, you may take it from me that of all the afflictions accursed, with which a man saddled and hampered and addled, a diffident nature's the worst. Though clever as clever can be, a Crichton of early romance, you must stir it and stump it and blow your own trumpet, or trust me, you haven't a chance. If you wish in the world to advance, your merits you're bound to enhance. You must stir it and stump it and blow your own trumpet, or trust me, you haven't a chance. Now take, for example, my case. I've a bright intellectual brain. In all London City, there's no one so witty, I've thought so again and again. I've a highly intelligent face. My features cannot be denied. But whatever I try, sir, I fail in. And why, sir? I'm modesty personified. If you wish in the world to advance, your merits you're bound to enhance. You must stir it and stump it and blow your own trumpet, or trust me, you haven't a chance. As a poet, I'm tender and quaint. I've passion and fervour and grace. From Ovid and Horace to Swinburne and Morris, they all of them take a back place. Then I sing and I play and I paint, though none are accomplished as I. To say so were treason. You ask me the reason.
Not I.
Oh, I thought you did. I'm diffident, modest and shy. If you wish in the world to advance, your merits you're bound to enhance. You must stir it and stump it and blow your own trumpet, or trust me, you haven't a chance.
If you wish in the world to advance, your merits you're bound to enhance. You must stir it and stump it and blow your own trumpet, or trust me, you haven't a chance.
And now you're all ready for what?
An aesthetic gentleman of the 1890s.
You mean Bunthorne?
The same?
That's not a patter song.
I know, but I like to sing it.
All right. Footnote on Patience in that case. Patience was the opera that Gilbert and Sullivan wrote to satirize the aesthetic movement of the 1890s, the fads and the times of Oscar Wilde, when very aesthetic young men used to wear lilies or green carnations and do their apartments up in several shades of dirty green. They were crazy about the Middle Ages. They loved Japanese art. They wrote disillusioned poems, and anybody else who didn't was just a Philistine.
Am I alone and unobserved? I am. Then let me own I'm an aesthetic sham. This air severe is but a mere veneer. This cynic smile is but a while of guile. This costume chaste is but good taste misplaced. Let me confess, a languid love for lilies does not blight me. Lank limbs and haggard cheeks do not delight me. I do not care for dirty greens by any means. I do not long for all one sees that's Japanese. I am not fond of uttering platitudes in stained glass attitudes. In short, my medievalism's affectation, born of a morbid love of admiration. If you're anxious for to shine in the high aesthetic line as a man of culture rare, you must get up all the germs of the transcendental terms and plant them everywhere. You must lie upon the daisies and discuss in novel phrases of your complicated state of mind. The meaning doesn't matter if it's only idle chatter of a transcendental kind. And everyone will say, as you walk your mystic way, if this young man expresses himself in terms too deep for me, why, what a very singularly deep young man this deep young man must be. Be eloquent in praise of the very dull old days which have long since passed away, and convince them, if you can, that the reign of good Queen Anne was culture's palmiest day. Of course you will pooh-pooh whatever's fresh and new, and declare it's crude and mean, for art stopped short in the cultivated court of the Empress Josephine. And everyone will say, as you walk your mystic way, if that's not good enough for him, which is good enough for me, why, what a very cultivated kind of youth this kind of youth must be. Then a sentimental passion of a vegetable fashion must excite your languid spleen. An attachment a la Plato for a bashful young potato, or a not-too-French bean. Though the Philistines may jostle, you will rank as an apostle in the high aesthetic band. If you walk down Piccadilly with a poppy or a lily in your medieval hand. And everyone will say, as you walk your flowery way, if he's content with a vegetable love which would certainly not suit me, why, what a most particularly pure young man this pure young man must be.
Now for the greatest in the book, from Iolanthe. We're now on the Thames Embankment, just across from the Houses of Parliament, in the inner courtyard of the Courts of Chancery. Chancery in England is just like equity in this country, and the Courts of Chancery are presided over by the Lord Chancellor. Among his jobs is to take care of any suits arising out of the sewage and garbage of the City of London, and to take care of orphans, distressed gentlewomen, and lunatics. One of his jobs is the giving away of rich, young orphan girls. Now, this is a professional chore that most judges handle, but Martyn Green, as Lord Chancellor, is a highly susceptible man. And he falls in love with one of his wards. And he has a nightmare. I think I'd better plot this dream for you, because it's quite a tongue twister. He goes off into a dream. He can't get any sleep. And the dream starts crossing the English Channel. It turns into a party, penny ice cream and cold meat for his friends and relations. And then he's joined by his attorney, who turns out to be a little boy of 11. And pretty soon, as happens in dreams, he's not on a ship, but he's crossing Salisbury Plain on a bicycle. By this time, all the crew have joined him. They are on bicycles too. And the attorney is trying to interest everybody in an investment scheme to plant tradesmen, to plant retailers as vegetables, so that from the greengrocer tree you'll get grapes and green pea. The shares in this enterprise cost only a penny, and ever so many are bought by Rothschild and Baring, a couple of bankers of the day. Well, if you hold on to that outline, or maybe I should say lifeline, you will be able to follow Martyn Green through the most athletic description of fatigue in all opera. Here he comes now.
Love unrequited robs me of me rest. Love, hopeless love, my ardent soul encumbers. Love, nightmare-like, lies heavy on me chest, and weaves itself into my midnight slumbers. When you're lying awake with a dismal headache and repose is tabooed by anxiety, I conceive you may use any language you choose to indulge in without impropriety. For your brain is on fire, the bedclothes conspire of usual slumber to plunder you. First the counterpane goes and uncovers your toes, and your sheet slips demurely from under you. The blanketing fickles you feel like mispickled, so terribly sharp is the pricking. You're hot and you're cross and you tumble and toss till there's nothing twixt you and the ticking. Then the bedclothes all creep to the ground in a heap, and you pick them all up in a tangle. Next your pillow resigns and politely declines to remain at his usual angle. Well, you get some repose in the form of a doze with hot eyeballs and head ever aching. But your slumbering teems with such horrible dreams that you'd very much better be waking. For you dream you are crossing the channel and tossing about in a steamer from Harwich, which is something between a large bathing machine and a very small second-class carriage. And you're giving a treat, penny ice and cold meat, to a party of friends and relations. They're a ravenous horde, and they all came on board as Sloane Square and South Kensington stations. And bound on that journey, you'll find your attorney who started that morning from Devon. He's a bit undersized, and you don't feel surprised when he tells you he's only 11. When you're driving like mad with this singular lad, by the by, the ship's now a four-wheeler, and you're playing round games, and he calls you bad names when you tell him the ties pay the dealer. Well, this you can't stand, so you throw up your hand, and you find you're as cold as an icicle, in your shirt and your socks and black silk with gold clocks crossing Salisbury Plain on a bicycle. And he and the crew are on bicycles too, which they've somehow or other invested in, and he's telling the tars all the particulars of a company he's interested in. It's a scheme of devices to get at low prices all goods from cup mixes to cables, which tickled the sailors by treating retailers as though they were all vegetables. You get a good spadesman to plant a small trace and first take off his boots with a boot tree. His legs will take root and his fingers will shoot, and they'll blossom and bud like a fruit tree. From the greengrocer tree you get grapes and green pea, cauliflower, pineapple and cranberries. The pastry cook plant cherry brandy will grant up for puffs and three corners and bamberries. The shells are a penny and ever so many are taken by Rothschild and Baring. And just as a few are allotted to you, you awake with a shudder despair. You're a regular wreck with a crick in your neck, and no wonder you snore, for your head's in the floor and your needles and pins to your soles, your shins, your flesh is a creep, and your electrics, a steaming cramp in your toes, and a fly in your nose, some fluff in your lung, and a feverish tongue, and a thirst is intense, and a general sense that you haven't been sleeping in clover. But the darkness has passed, and it's daylight at last. The night has been long, ditto, ditto, my song. And thank goodness they're both of them over.